Zoek net 'n oomblik in my eie wêreld. Onthou vertroue is die sleutel vir 'n lang pad. Onthou, ek sal altyd huis toe kom. Ek sal altyd huis toe kom. Altyd. Jy hoef nie te worry, hoef nie te worry nie. Want ek sal altyd huis toe kom. Ek sal altyd huis toe kom. Altyd. Jy hoef nie te worry, hoef nie te worry nie. Ek sal altyd huis toe kom. Ek sal altyd huis toe kom. Altyd. Jy hoef nie te worry, hoef nie te worry nie. Het ons dan geen vertroue nie. Ek doen my ding, jy doen jou ding, maar ons hou dit in die sirkel. Waar ons beloftes lê, waar ons moeite maak, waar ek en jy saam 'n oomblik deel. Ons kan dit maak werk, want jou omgee, dis wat jou vir my, jou doel in my lewe. Wat 'n oomblik, denk daaraan, wat jy altyd moet onthou. Ek sal huis toe kom. Ek sal altyd huis toe kom. Ek sal altyd huis toe kom. Altyd. Jy hoef nie te worry, hoef nie te worry nie. Ek sal altyd huis toe kom. Ek sal altyd huis toe kom. Altyd. Jy hoef nie te worry, hoef nie te worry nie. Ek sal altyd huis toe kom. Ek sal altyd huis toe kom. Altyd. Jy hoef
We are
nie.
located at Sandbury Square Mall on the corner of Old Forder Road and Baden-Powell Drive, East River. You can visit our website at www.radioeastriver.co.za. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Radio East River. And stay in touch with us via WhatsApp on 064 536 9095. That's 064 536 9095.
Welcome to Let's Talk Money. I'm your host, Karl Abrahams, and we normally talk about what I think about money, but today we have a special guest, Brett, in the house, and he's a tax expert. He is also the author of the book called Pensions for Palookas. This is a very, very, very powerful book, and like we had the conversation, like most of us don't know what the pension is all about and what we should do when we receive it. And so that's why we have Brett in the house that's going to explain everything to us. All right, so Brett, tell us. Oh, yes, sorry, before you go further, this is our second round. So it's a follow-up show of our previous one, all right?
Hi, thank you, Carl. Thank you for the opportunity to be here again. I think we had our first interview the week that my book was released in November last year.
Yes, that's correct.
Where I didn't have the book to give to you yet, so I had to get you a book because I was still waiting for the publishers to deliver the book. But now the book is out there. We had a very nice launch. We opened up a Facebook page called Pensions for Palookas. And if your listeners want to go on there, they can go and watch the videos actually of the launch that we had for the book. So that was very successful. And and now I've got to get the message out there, get people to read the book, and maybe also do a few seminars with people on retirement.
Yeah, so they can understand what to do, how to do, and why to do it. But a key question, and we covered it on our previous show, but just for the listeners that's maybe new to Pension for Palookas, tell us, why did you write this book, Pension for Palookas?
Carl, I've been working in the financial industry and specifically on the pension funds employee benefit side for about more than almost 25 years now. And what I found is that there are not actually a lot of books or guides out there that's written in plain language that people can get a basic understanding of what pension funds are about. Why do they need to belong to a pension fund? How do they invest their money in the pension fund? What happens at certain times, point in time? For example, when they resign from their job, or when they get retrenched, or when they retire. So a lot of these issues are out there, and people are feeling uncomfortable to ask these questions to their financial advisor or the trustees of their fund. And so the reason for the book is to be that conversation starter, to empower everybody out there to have enough knowledge about pension funds to say, now I can go and ask my advisor what is going on, what I should do. So at least when I talk to my financial advisor, I'm empowered with the right knowledge to ask the right questions.
And you know, I'm just thinking now, Brett, that a lot of us, right, we pay our pension, right, every month, right, to the pension fund, or maybe the work deducts it every month, right? But we don't really take note about it. And in our back of our mind is like, this is for when I retire, right? But we don't have the information now. But when we turn 60 or 65, then we're like, what now? I don't understand how it works. I don't know what to do, how to do. So it's actually a very good thing that you wrote this book, because especially for the younger generation to understand now already what they should do and how they should do it and what is going to happen going forward, to actually for them to make the right decisions with a pension fund.
Yes, I totally agree, Carl. And the thing is that if you look at people that work for a company and they work there their whole lives, by the time they retire, their two biggest assets would be their house that they've paid off, and then the money that they put in their pension fund.
That's correct, yeah.
Some people might have other investments as well, but those are normally the two biggest investments. Now, your house, you know exactly what goes on. You know when something breaks down, when something needs to get fixed. But you don't spend that same time on your pension fund. And a lot of us just put the money there and we just assume that it will grow, but we don't look where the money actually invested. Because remember, in most funds now, the funds are what they call defined contribution funds. So you as the member take that risk, that investment risk in that fund. So you've got an obligation towards yourself to know, where's my money invested? How is it doing? Speak to my financial advisor to see how we can get this money to grow even more or better.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't even know that they have that option available where they can actually speak to the financial advisor and tell them, look, guy, how's it growing? Let me look at the stats. Because, like I say, 99% of our people just leave it until they're 65 and then they're like, is this it? Is it for 20, 25 years, is this it? And so if they get the knowledge now already, which they will definitely find in your book, right? As to what to do, how to do, and especially like you said, like interact with a financial advisor to ask, look here, is this really the best investment? Should we rather withdraw and do another one, or you know, that type of thing?
No, definitely. I mean, this is a long game because most people start working in their 20s. They work till age 60 or 65.
Yeah.
So you're looking at a 30, 40 year period. And now when you start working at age 22, 23, I mean, retirement seems so far off. But if you start making mistakes at 23, 24, that will have a huge impact on you by the time you get to age 60 or 65. So I think it's important for all our young people to say, I must at least know what I'm paying this money in. I'm forced to pay this money into my pension fund every month. I can just as well take control of it and know what's going on and what is in my best interest as far as my investments are concerned.
Yeah. So it's actually the same concept of being like a forex trader type of thing. Having the how can I say, doing research on how the markets is doing, best investments, etc., so that you can basically keep track on how your money is growing. Because once you understand markets and how the rand's doing, etc., then you have more or less an idea how your money is doing.
Yes, I think it's important to know these things, but it's also very important to have the right team around you, to have the right financial advisor. Where things get more sophisticated, to have the right tax advisor advising you on what are the best moves to make from a tax perspective. And I think if you've got the right team of people and also the trustees of your fund, the employees of the fund, in what ways they can assist you with information so that you can make those informed choices as into how to invest your money in your pension fund.
I think there's probably going to be a big question from the listeners, right? And that question is normally, okay, so when I'm 65, right, and I get my pension fund, then the tax man comes and then they deduct their cut. And so now the big question is, do I get anything back from that deduction that they made?
Now, what normally happens is that at the time that and that's why it's important to speak to a financial advisor, to speak to your tax advisor. So at the time when you retire, in most funds, you've got the option of taking a portion of that retirement money in cash. Now, the first 500,000 of that is normally tax-free. So after that, you start paying tax on whatever you take out. But the money that you keep in the fund or that you buy a pension with, that gives you that monthly income, that money to buy, that money is not taxed. So only the money you take out as a lump sum. So the pension, let's say you've got 3 million rand and you decide to take R1 million out in cash as a lump sum payment, that first 500,000 will be tax-free, and then you've got a sliding scale on the other 500,000. Let's say the average on that will be 20%, that you're now going to pay tax on that. So, and I've got quite a bit of information on that in my book, and I even have a calculation on different amounts. If you take 100,000, 200,000, 500,000, I think I do it up to 5 million. So that's a tax that you would, in all probability, pay. But if you take the other 2 million and you buy a pension with that, that gives you, let's say, 15,000 rands a month for the rest of your life. You don't pay tax on the 2 million. You only pay on that 20,000 or 15,000 a month. You only tax on that money that you actually receive from the pension.
So every time you receive money, they will probably tax.
You will pay tax on that money that you receive now as a monthly pension.
But not on the full amount.
No, not on the 2 million that you used to buy that income stream.
I understand. And so the 500, that's the first 500, and not every time draw 500 and it's
no. That's the first 500 on the lump sum that you take.
So just for clarity for the viewers, because they might think, so I'll draw every time 500,000 and that's tax free.
No. It's on that lump sum. Normally it's on the lump sum that you take, that R1 million lump sum. So if you only take a 500,000 rand lump sum, then that whole 500 should be tax free, unless, and this is very important, unless you took a retrenchment benefit before that, because that is taken into account. So the same tax scale is used for retrenchment benefit. So if you were retrenched 10 years from before retirement and you got 200,000 rand as a lump sum and you got the tax benefit there, then you only have 300,000 left. So if you're going to draw another 500,000 as a lump sum, then 200,000 will then be taxable. Because what they're doing is they're adding that amount you received earlier, that 200,000, they're adding that to the 500,000. So then you get taxed on 700,000. So people must just be careful, because that can also have a big influence. If you already received 500,000 rand previously as a retrenchment benefit, lump sum benefit, you're going to get taxed this time, because that is a cumulative tax.
So it doesn't matter the time period. 500 is 500. Once you exceed it, even with a 1 rand, then
you start paying tax. Because remember, what they do is they add every amount that you received. If you were retrenched twice and you received 15 years ago a retrenchment benefit of 100,000, and then 10 years ago another 200,000, and now you retire, so they're going to take that 300,000, add it to whatever you take at retirement, and then tax that amount.
And obviously the 200, based on the calculation that you made now, is going to be tax-free.
Remember, you already got that 100,000 and the 200,000. You already got that tax-free.
So there's another 200 left to make that 500.
So you only have 200,000 that will be tax-free. Anything more than 200. So a lot of people make the mistake. They don't tell their financial advisor, listen here, I already took a retrenchment benefit in the past or two. And now the financial advisor does a calculation and say, no, but if you take 500,000, that will be tax-free. But then it goes to SARS. Remember, they've got all these records. So then it comes back and only the 200,000 is not taxed. And then the client wants to get upset. because
They followed
but-
his advice.
yeah, but the financial advisor can only advise you on the basis of the information that you provide to your and that's why it's important to rather give too much information to your financial advisor than too little.
Yeah, and also to keep your hands on your investments so that you know what's going on and so that you can give that relevant information, because a lot of times, because we don't keep our hands on it and we don't monitor it, right, when it comes to that point, we actually forget, I actually took like 10 years back, you know.
Yeah, and that's something that people forget. It's nobody's fault. I mean, you maybe just forget that you were retrenched, or you don't see the link between that retrenchment and your retirement now.
Yeah.
But that information is important for your financial advisor to assist you on how much money to take out.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, if you don't need to take out any money as a lump sum, or you just take the amount that you can get out tax-free, and use the rest for that income, because remember, your pension money is there to provide that income stream for you every month.
Constantly, yeah.
Till your death, between your age of retirement till your death. Or if you've got a spouse or a partner, to also provide for an income if you fall away, that person also has an income going forward.
Going forward. There's also one crucial thing that you touched on, right? People get retrenched or they leave their work and then they tap into the pension fund, right? And then maybe that was maybe 20 years back, and now it obviously starts over and accumulates till you're 65, right? Do you think it's wise when you get retrenched or when you leave your job for another job to actually tap into that? Or do you think it's rather better to just leave it as is and you know, let it accumulate till the age of 65?
Yeah. Okay. There's new legislation now coming in that they actually want to give people, even while they are active members of a fund, access to the. But then they want to do it. This discussion papers that are on the table now is that you can access up to a third of your money, because what they saw with COVID coming, people in other countries, they gave them access to limited access to their pension fund money. So that was an idea that was brought up that was initially not taken up to well, and then now it seems that government says, okay, up to a third of your money you can take it anytime, but the rest of your money you can't have access to the other 2/3 until you retire. So if you now take a portion of your money out and then you resign, then it means that you can't take the other 2/3 until the date of so you have to preserve that money for date of retirement. Is it a good or bad idea? It depends on your circumstances. For me personally, if you move from one position to another, so you resign at company A, next month you're starting at company B, you don't need access to the money because from next month you'll have a salary. In those circumstances, I would say people should not touch that money, because you don't need to touch it. Because remember, here you don't have a problem with you. There's going to be a period of time that you don't have money. The other circumstances where people get retrenched, and a lot of people in our communities got retrenched because of COVID. Now the question is
how much do you
take out? Because how long do you? Because you don't have a job. In certain industries, it's the old industry that shrank. I mean, like the hospitality industry. If you were working at a hotel, all the hotels were retrenching people. It's not like you could. It's your company or your hotel group that was in trouble. It was the whole industry.
And the time frame is also in question, because it's the COVID thing and you don't know for how long.
I mean, people have been out of jobs now for 2 years almost.
And it's a long period.
It's a long period. Now my question is, if you only have access to that 1/3, how far will that 1/3 help you and your family? Given the fact that you don't have a job and the probability of you getting a job in 3 years, 4 years time is very small. Alternatively, you've got that money, you can now say, okay, now I can start my own business. Because you're asking a person now to make the choice between having money for retirement or having food on the table tonight. And I think that is the difficult thing, because we don't know how long you're going to be out of a job.
Sorry to interrupt you there, and I think it also boils down to what you said previously in regards to the advisor, financial advisor, to maybe get him also on board and say, look here, I took now a small portion, maybe the 1/3, right? So I'm going to use this now maybe for the next 3 months, but is there any investment opportunities for me for the next maybe 6 months or something like that, so that they can at least increase that funds? Because the reality is going to be if you take X amount, it's just going to lay in your bank account in any event. Right? And most of the people is of that mindset that's, I've been working now for 20 years, so what I'm going to do, I need a man cave, I need a new car, I need X, Y, and Z. So that's all going to come out of that money because it's just laying there type of thing. Do you think that's a good way to go?
I think we've got to change our mindset. That money that's laying there is not free money.
Yeah.
That is part of your pension money that should be available for you when you can no longer longer wish to work.
Yeah.
And that's not there for the man cave and the new DVD player or whatever you want to buy.
Yeah.
That money is there to sustain. That's your bread and butter money until you find a job.
Yes.
Until you have another income stream. Because remember, you can be retrenched at 40. Now you've got another 20 years that you can actually
And it's
work.
a long period.
And that's a long... I would go as far as to say that even if you take 100% of that money, that might still not be enough to sustain you for 20 years.
20 years, yeah.
So somewhere you'll have to either start your own business or get another job to get another income stream to sustain you and your family for that 20-year period until you retire.
Yeah.
So if you ask me, should you ever touch your pension fund money, I would say no. So as a general rule, where you move from one job to another, rather you can leave that money in your current fund, or you can transfer it to the fund of your new employer.
Yeah.
So don't think of that as money that I now have available because I resigned from company A to go and work for company B. I must actually take that money and continue saving for retirement in company B.
Yeah.
So rather add this money to the money that I'm building up in company B, or I can leave the money here, or I can transfer it to what they call a preservation fund.
Okay. So tell us more about the preservation fund, because that one sounds very, very interesting.
Okay. A preservation fund is normally a fund that you can transfer your money to when you leave a company. So if I leave company A, I can no longer be an active member of company A. So I can't make new contributions to company A. So now I've got 100,000 Rand that's in company A. I'm now moving to company B. I'm going to start contributing to company B. So with the money in company A's fund, I can do one of the following things. Number one, I can leave the money there. And what they call I can become a paid up member.
Okay.
So my money is there. My money grows in that fund. And I just leave it there. I can leave it there till retirement age, and then I can retire from that fund at age 60.
So just to be clear on what you're saying is that, so there doesn't, or there's not going to be any new contributions to it, but whatever is there will still accumulate interest over time period, and when you retire, you can still have access to it.
Yes, when you retire, you can still have a retirement benefit, or at any stage, you can ask for them to either pay the money in cash or to transfer it to another fund. So the money stays there. The only difference between you and an active member of the fund is that active member will also have insured benefits, like a death cover amount that they can get. So your active members that are still active employees, they can also get cover through an insurance company. But if you die, you only get that fund benefit, that 100,000 Rand plus interest or plus growth that was there.
So do you think it's a better option to move your money to the new retirement fund at your new place of work, or do you think it's better to just leave it there and then continue with a new one? Does it influence
it will depend on your circumstances. And that's why it's important at that stage to speak to your financial advisor, because I can't give a general which is best. So you've got the three options: keeping the money there, moving it to other fund, or moving it to a preservation fund. So all of them are viable options, but what is best for you will be best determined by your personal circumstances. So for me, it might be best to leave the money in the fund, and a lot of people just leave the money in the fund. Others decide, listen, I totally want to break away from my ex-employer, and I don't want to have anything to do with them. So I rather move my money and everything out to the new fund.
Is there any difference on the interest of the investment? If you leave it there, if you move it, is there any difference?
It would depend on the investment options you have in the different funds, because remember, every fund has their own investment portfolios in which they invest. For example, in my current fund, I can invest in asset manager A, but I can't invest in B. And with my new fund, with the new employer, I've got C, D, and E.
Yeah.
So some people feel because the new fund at my new employer doesn't have this portfolio that I'm invested in, I'll rather leave the money here
Yeah.
for now until they get some, or I see that they've got something similar. A lot of people leave the money there initially, start with new job, start with a new fund, and then just get familiar with what's going on in that new fund. What are the investment options that are maybe similar to?
Yeah.
And that's also where the financial advisor will give you guidance to say, okay, this portfolio is not 100%, but it's the closest that you'll find to the one that you have there.
previously,
So I'm comfortable if you move the money over, transfer the money to that new fund.
Does the amount of money that's currently in your pension fund makes a difference in regards to the amount of interest that accumulates? Or is it doesn't
Yeah,
doesn't
it depends on the investment portfolio that you are in. If you're in an investment portfolio where it's only all the money's in cash, then you probably get 4 to 5% per annum. If it's in bonds, you might get 10%. If it's invested in shares, in equities, you might get plus 20% or you might get minus 20%. I mean, because there are no guarantees on what. I mean, look at what happened around about March 2020 as a result of COVID. Most markets fell. But if you look at them now, most of them are more or less where they were in 2019.
Yeah, it is,
So it depends on, and that's why you have to speak to financial advisor. It also depends on your risk tolerance. If you are 25, then in all probability you've got to put as much money as possible into equities. But if you are 55, then you should be thinking of moving more of your money to cash because you can't take those market fluctuations of
liquidity is going to be better.
It's going to be better. So at age 60, then you can decide, okay, now I can adjust my portfolios again.
So we have spoken about the retirement fund as a whole. We've spoken about the employer, the employer, right? Moving from one employer to the next employer and moving your funds also from one fund to the next fund. How does it implicate your contract, your employment contract?
Okay. Remember, when your pension fund membership normally follows your contract of employment. So normally when you start working at a company or at a business or in government, there will be certain conditions of employment. You must work in this department. This is what you will do. This is the leave that you have. This is the sick leave that you have. This is the bonus if there is a bonus. So all those conditions are set out. And one of the conditions that will normally be there is that you will be forced to belong to the pension fund and in some cases the medical scheme where your employer participates. So you must belong to that pension fund. But when you resign, you no longer have that contract of employment. So you can't be forced to remain in the fund. So you have the option of moving out, but you also have the option of staying in that fund. So the employer can't say no because you're no longer working here. You can't stay in the fund. It's still your prerogative to decide I'm going to stay in this fund or I'm going to move to another fund with my money, or I'm going to take my money in cash.
So what is the benefits of a retirement fund?
I think let me put my book a bit. I've got a whole chapter on what are the benefits. So the first one is obviously saving for retirement. The second benefit is that some funds offer you a death benefit, and you can get an insured death benefit. So what the fund will do is they will take out a policy on your life. It's normally on a group basis on all the lives of the members, and then you can decide let's say what level of cover you need. Let's say 5 times your annual salary. So if your annual salary is 200,000 rand, if you die, then it's going to be 200,000 times 5. So that's going to be R1 million that's going to be paid to your dependents if you should die while you're an active member of the fund. So that's the second benefit. The other benefit is there might be disability benefits that are also payable in terms of the rules of the fund. The other one is that people don't use a lot is that you can some funds allow you to use your fund credit or the money in your fund as collateral for a home loan.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. So,
So-
how would that work?
Okay, so if it's allowed by the fund rules, and you want to buy, let's say, R1 million house, so you go to a bank, the bank will, or financial service provider will, credit provider will give you the loan, and what they can then do is they can go to your fund and say, listen here, Mr. X wants a loan. Are you willing to give a guarantee? And then they can say, according to the money that that he has in the fund, we are willing to give you a guarantee of 500,000. So now it's going to be easier for you to get that loan because now the bank has a bond of R1 million plus they've got 500,000 rand guarantee from your
fund.
pension fund. So they now have 1.5 million collateral on a 1 million rand loan. So they would be in a position to say, okay, that you are now less of a risk than the other person who comes in and also wants to borrow R1 million, but we only have the bond that is registered on the property as our security. And I think that can provide an opening for a lot of people to get access to home loans. And not a lot of people know about it or use it. But a lot of funds out there still have this. So the fund will normally go into an agreement with a specific credit provider or credit providers, in terms of which they will have an agreement that if you issue a loan to one of our members, we can give you a guarantee of, let's say, up to 50% of the money that's in the fund for that specific person.
So a quick question, all right? So we covered tax at the beginning, and we said 500,000 exempt, so you don't get tax on that, and then after that 500,000. So if
Sorry, but that's just in relation to a retirement benefit. Now, if you take a withdrawal benefit,
that's actually the
okay,
one.
there's a different tax scale. And there, the tax-free portion is only 25,000 rand.
Oh, okay.
And after 25,000 rand, then there's a sliding scale. It becomes taxable after that.
Okay, so that 500,000 exempt doesn't apply for this scenario. Only 25,000, and then after that, then the scale starts.
If you resign or you get fired, but if you get retrenched, then that's the same thing. The retrenchment is still on the other scale with your death benefit or with your retirement benefit. So the 500,000 will also apply where you get retrenched by your company, but it won't be applicable where you resign or you get fired.
So these benefits, is it across the board, or does it depend on the retirement fund that you're with?
Okay, normally most of the retirement funds will give give most of these benefits, but it still depends on the rules of that fund. So each fund has a set of rules that says what the fund can do and what the fund can't do, what the trustees can do and what they can't do, what are the benefits of members in that fund. So it will largely depend on the rules of that fund. So the Pension Funds Act said what funds can do, but the funds still decide what they actually want to do. So implement in terms of their rules.
So for the viewers out there, what would you say, right, would be, if they need to make a decision based on benefits, right, what would be the best benefit, if I can put it that way, that they should look out for, or maybe the best three or two that they should look out for, where they can say, okay, this is a good fund, I'll invest? Because you have a lot of benefits, but like, which one, you know?
Yeah, that's a difficult thing. With most companies, they will have one or maybe two funds to choose from. But you get other employers that, especially where you've got different unions involved, if you've got 3 unions, each of them have their own fund. Plus now you've got the employer that have their own fund. So now there's a choice of 4 funds that people can actually choose from. And that's where it becomes difficult, because normally you don't have a lot of time to decide. So now you've got these 4 funds, but I don't know which one is the best for me. And yet again, it's important to get that information, to discuss that information. So get the information from each of these funds, go and speak to your financial advisor and say, listen here, you must help me with this. Because I've got now, I have to make this choice between these 4 funds, and normally I only have a once-off choice. I can't in a year's time from now say, no, I'm not happy with Fund A, I want to move to Fund B.
So the crucial thing is you should get a financial advisor. If you do it on your own, the risk is going to be probably more.
I think it's always best, I mean, to get an expert to assist you with whatever decisions. the first thing for me, and as I said with my book, is to empower people out there to know what's going on. What are out there? What are my choices? What can I decide about? And then speak to your financial advisor and say, okay, I know I can do this and this and this, but you must now give me guidance as into which of these options are the best option for me given my circumstances. And that's unfortunately something I can't do in the book. That's something that you have to speak to your to your financial advisor to address that.
So I'm thinking the viewers out there will probably want to know, okay, do I pay the financial advisor, or how does his remuneration work? Does he get commission, or how does he get paid in the whole equation?
Yeah, there are different payment models out there. So it can range from a payment model where the financial advisor charges you a fee. Let's say an hourly fee for financial advice. So that's one model. The other model is where they charge you based on an ongoing fee, like a percentage of the money you have in your pension fund. So you'll have an agreement with your financial advisor that he or she will draw up a financial plan for you for your retirement fund money, and that they must monitor it. So every 3 months you speak, or 6 months you speak to your financial advisor and say, these are the goals that I had. How far are we from reaching our goals, or did we exceed our goals in the way that we invested the money? So this is the plan. Does the plan still meet the requirements? Do I have to make changes to that plan? So the advisor is actively involved in that whole process, where in some circumstances the person might charge you upfront for doing that plan for you. But as from there, you take control of that plan. So and then you just pay the financial advisor a fee as and when they assist you. And that's the other model. The other model might be that people might earn commission, or they might earn that recurring income. So it's important to speak to your financial advisor and find out what is the income model that they use, because it can range between all of those things.
And probably a good idea in regards to financial advisors is probably to check the financial, or where does the financial advisor come from, which company, Old Mutual, Metropolitan, depending, and then also to check, okay, the goals that has been set out. Did we reach the goal, and should I get me a new financial advisor, or what do you think? How do you choose the financial advisors?
Yeah, I think you've got to go, if you're not certain who to speak to 2 or 3 people. Let all of them explain to you what they do, where they are, what possible conflicts of interest there might be, because you've got to determine who is the best person for you. Ask that person, what will you do for me, and how will I pay you for doing what you say you are going to do? Then normally, if you decide on one, you'll have a contract with that person that will normally set out, these are the things that I will do. This is when I will be available to you. So you can't call me at 3 o'clock in the morning to discuss your pension fund, because you can't sleep. So that's also not going to be to the benefit of your relationship with your financial advisor. And I mean, these are professionals, so treat them as professionals.
Yes, that's great.
So, and when you go to a doctor, you've got to pay the doctor.
Yes.
You don't say, no, I'll first see if I like what you did. But you've got to pay the doctor. The same with the financial advisor. If somebody goes out there and that person has the expertise that you don't have to draw up a financial plan or a savings plan for you for retirement, then you've got to pay that person for that expertise. And if that person goes further and has to do work on a recurring basis for you, then it might be better or suitable to say, okay, then you get a portion, you get a fee based on the money. So if my money grows, your money grows, your fee grows. If you give me bad advice, then I'm not the only one suffering here. You're also going to suffer.
I think that sounds like a very good option
to
take.
So then with that one, there's an alignment between, if you see what the plan is. If my money grows, if my money grows by 10%, then obviously your fee will grow by 10%. If you gave bad advice and my money decreased by 20%, it will mean your fee will decrease by 20%, and I will have to review whether or not I want to keep you on as my financial advisor.
That actually sounds like a very, very good option, because what happens there is that the financial advisor will actually put in all the work needed because he benefits when you benefit. By
Yeah, in that sense, I mean, that's what people prefer. That's an alignment. Other people say, no, I just want to, at retirement, pay 10,000 or 20,000 rand for this plan, and I'll take it from there. But this is for people who have that expertise on how to manage their own money. They just want confirmation. I know 99% what I want to do, so I'll speak to a financial advisor or planner to work out a plan for me.
according to your
According to what my wishes and my concerns and my risk appetite is.
yeah.
And then I will go implement it myself. So I will go to the different places to get a pension, and I will. The benefit of a financial advisor is they also provide not only advice but also intermediary services. So they won't only say, this is how you must invest your money, or this is what we should think you should do. They can actually go and place that money with asset managers or with insurance companies on your behalf. So that's also another benefit that there is of having a financial advisor. Because sometimes otherwise you'll have to, if you go directly, sometimes you can phone in, sometimes you have to go into the place, into the company, or you'll have to do it online. And if you have the expertise and the know-how to do that, that's fine. But most people will see that as a big schlep to actually go in and go to get 4-5 different quotes from 4-5 different companies.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of work, so they probably just take the first guy that comes across.
Yeah, in those cases, if that's your concern, then a financial advisor and intermediary might be the best option for you.
Yeah, and we've talked about the benefits, but I also see in your book you talk about the different investment opportunities that there is. So just maybe one or two, or what is the investment opportunity?
Yeah. At the moment, we've got something they call Regulation 28, and that prescribes how you can invest your money in a pension fund. So it will say you can put, for example, 100% of your money in cash or in government bonds, but you can only put 75% of the money in total in equities or shares. So that will be determined. So when you sit with your financial advisor, you take that into account, that for the guy who's 25, you can't put 100% of your money in equities. You'll probably put 75% there, but the other 25% you'll have in cash or in bonds.
Just in case.
No, because that is what is prescribed. You can't have 100% in that. I know that there are new changes coming through for investments overseas. That in the past it was very limited. Now it will probably go up to 45%. That's including investments in Africa. So that might be an overall 45%, or it might still be split up between regions. But
do you think that's a good way to go, or do you think there's a lot of negatives also in that?
Look, I'll ask you this question. They say don't put all of your eggs in one basket. So if you look at equity markets, if you put 100% of your money in South African equity markets, but the South African equity market, the JSE, only represents 1% or 2% of all companies in the world. Then it's probably a good idea to put money in companies in other countries. But what you must also take into account is what they call exchange rate risk. Because remember, we're standing at $1. If you put 20% of your money into equities in the United States, so you've got a certain exchange rate now that might not be there in a year from now. It might go up, it might come down. So if it comes down, then you've got a risk.
But if it goes up, then
let's say we're working on England and it's 20 rand to the pound, and you're investing at 20 rand to the pound. You're investing 100,000 rand in a British company. But now the rand, let's say, strengthens, and then it means, let's say, the exchange rate is now 15. So it means that 5 rand, your investment now shrunk by 5 rand because the pound weakened against the rand. But on the other hand, if the pound now strengthens against the rand and you moved it over at an exchange rate of 20 and now it's at 25, then you get the benefit of that. But that thing can go for you or against you, and nobody knows where the exchange rate can go.
And that is why it's very important also for the retirement fund holder all right, to also have knowledge about these things so that they can also, even though they have the financial advisor there, but so that they can also tell me, look here, this is where I want to go, and what do you think? They can have the conversation, but if it's only one-sided, then it's difficult for the financial advisor actually to get his client to a point where the client wants to be, based on the fact that the client doesn't really know where he's going.
Yeah. And then that's, again, punting my book.
Yeah.
My book is there to help that client to understand a lot of these things. So when they sit down with a financial advisor, they have a basic idea of what goes on in my fund, what can I do, what I cannot do. And to get the assistance to say, okay, now I know what the parameters are of what I can and cannot do. Let's discuss now what is in my best interest.
So tell me, in your book, Pensions for Palooka, tell me what is the highlight to you in this book, or the I won't say, okay, let me say the biggest golden nugget that you've put in this book for everyone.
I'll have to say, save as much as you can for retirement. Yeah. One thing that I also want to mention about the book, the biggest wow for me was that you'll see in the book I've got sketches.
Yeah, I saw
They
the
were
sketches,
drawn
yeah.
by my son, my 16-year-old son Mika. He drew all the sketches for. So this was a father and son project.
Yeah.
With my daughter being his agent, seeing that I don't rob him out of his royalties. So she was the
For his
lawyer on that
artwork.
one. Yeah. Yeah.
So also there's a lot of benefits personally, as well as for your side, as well as for the reader on their side, because now they get to view all the artwork,
Yeah.
and plus the golden nuggets as the information inside.
And this is a book that you're not going to read once and put away.
Yeah.
You're going to have it with you all the time. And the reason why I put in the sketches is that sketch basically, if you read the chapter, it's basically a summary of what goes on in that chapter. So when you read it the second time and you look at the sketch, I still remember this and this and this and this. So let me just go and look at the parts that I'm uncertain about.
And also, when you don't have the book with you, right, based on the sketches, you'll be, I remember based on the sketch what was in that chapter, because it relates to one another. And the other thing that I want to ask, based on the book, is when you completed the book, what was that feeling that you had? Okay, let me rephrase it. Okay, you had the feeling once you completed the book, but then you also had the feeling once you got the book for the first time. So what was that feeling?
Wow. It's a difference because what you normally do is I finish the book and then it was a Word document.
Yeah.
Then I send that to my editors and they put it in the book format.
Yeah.
So they take that and they put the sketches in, they do the paragraphs, they put the sketch, all the tables and that I have in the book, they put everything in there. Now you get it on a computer screen. Now it already looks wow. Now you work through different copies of this about 30, 40 times.
Yeah.
Okay, this must be changed, that must be changed.
Yeah.
So that whole process took us about a year.
That's a long period.
It's a long period because remember I've got a full-time job. So the book was a labor of love that I did over my weekends and in the evenings after work. So I didn't have like other writers 8-9 hours a day to work on the book. That's why it took quite a bit of time. So then you send it. They send the final copy to you. Then you take that to your publisher. So they do it, and then they do the printing. And I can remember the day I got that book. It's like holding it in your hand is quite different from seeing it on a computer screen. And it feels more tangible. Now I've got something in my hand that I can feel that this is what all this work went into.
Yeah, and you
that
feel like an author.
Yeah, you now feel like an author. And, I joked with my wife. I said, no, I got my first order from Botswana last year. So now I'm an internationally recognized author because I sold one book in Botswana. So.
And it's the reality. You know, so you're international.
So and hopefully in the next 2 weeks, we're just sorting everything out. We will have the electronic copy available on Smashwords and on Amazon.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
So for my international buyers that want to buy it, it's going to be available, the electronic copy as well as a printable copy on Amazon.
And I know like Amazon has also like if you sell like 1,000 books, right, in the first week, then you get what status is that now again? I can't get to the status, but you get some sort of status if you sell 1,000 books within 1 week. So I don't know if you're also gonna go for that status.
No, I'll definitely have to go for it, especially if your listeners are
Yeah.
are there to support me.
The support, yeah. The other thing is, where can the listeners get your book? Where can they buy the book?
Okay. At the moment, we're selling the books directly. You can send us an email to pensionsforpalucas@gmail.com. The cost of the book is normally 300 Rand plus 55 Rand for delivery. We use a company that delivers. So it will come to your house. So that's 355 in total. But for your listeners that want it, I'll give it 300 Rand all in. So
that's with the delivery
With the
cost.
delivery cost 300 Rand.
Oh, okay. So they actually
So they can just
250.
put they can just put in there when they send to Pensions for Palucas, and I think you'll put up the address later on.
Yeah.
So it's going to cost them 300 Rand in total and not 355, and it will be delivered to their home or to their office where they want it delivered. And if they want to, I'll even have it signed by me and my son. So
that's
if you
awesome.
want a autographed copy, you can.
The father and son combo.
Yeah, we Now, when we had the book launch, I asked my son, "Do you want to sign?" Son, no, I'm not. So then I sat there, started signing. 2 minutes later, he pulled up a chair and he was also signing. So he must take credit for what he did in the book.
Because he also did very hard work drawing all
Yeah,
that.
no, it took him about a year.
Yeah.
Remember, it's between school work and
Yeah.
and weekends that he also had to work on the book. So I'm quite proud of him
Yeah.
for assisting me because, I mean, it just gives the book a new dimension when you look at those sketches.
Because that puts the cherry on top in regards to the book, because the look and the feel, everything goes together, plus the wording, so they can actually envision where where the text is going to.
Yeah. Okay. You're going to talk about the competition.
Yes, I was about to say about the competition. So Brett has a competition that's going to run from today onwards.
Yeah,
right?
let's run it for 2 weeks until the 17th of March.
Until the 17th of March. So all the viewers that's listening in, you can actually be part of the competition, but Brett's going to give us more information in regards to how the competition works.
Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make 10 books available, signed copies of my book for free as part of this competition. So you've got to send me an email to pensionsforpalucas@gmail.com and you'll put on the address. And in the heading, you can just say Radio Eerste River competition. And the only question I have is, why do you think this book will add value to your life? Because I don't want to give this book to somebody that just wants it and who's not going to read it. So why do you feel this book will add value to your life? Why do you deserve to get this book?
Yeah. So once you draft or write basically why this book will give value to your life, to your financial situation, right? Then Brett will go through it, and then he will choose a winner out of all that.
10 winners from what we get.
Yeah.
And the 10 that I see that really want this book and will read this book, they will get a copy of the book. Just put your cell phone number and your physical address where the book needs to be delivered in your email as well, so we know where to deliver.
So if you missed all of that information right now, right, you know what to do. You take that cursor, right, and then you just scroll a bit back and you'll get all the relevant information Brett just gave you now, right? So Brett, thank you very much for the show. It was a very powerful and awesome show. There was a lot of golden nuggets in there for our people out there, and I believe there's a lot of information that they didn't know about, right, that they are now aware of, and I think that will actually motivate them and encourage them to buy the book Pensions for Palucas, right, because this is really what they need now already to prepare them for retirement, right? So everyone, thank you very much. Is there anything else that you want to tell our viewers out there? Something motivational that you want to tell them?
Now, as I said to you earlier, what I'm also planning on doing some seminars where people can sit, because like we were talking, people appreciate that, talking to somebody.
Yes, it is.
And I think we can invite some of your viewers and your listeners to those seminars. So if I see that there's a need for that, I'll definitely inform you guys, and we can have certain number of seats at those seminars for your listeners.
Yeah, that's actually very awesome, because once they read the book, I guarantee you there will be questions, and to have it in a seminar format just gives them the opportunity to ask that question. You know, what happens if X, Y, and Z type of thing.
Yeah.
So,
But
Brett, no, sorry.
yeah, no, but thank you for this opportunity again. I think you're doing a great job of getting the information to our people out there, and a lot of times people are making mistakes not because they want to make mistakes, but because they're not aware of what their options are. And
like
thank you for that.
And like they say, knowledge is power. And you only know what you know. What you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you very much, Brett. It was an awesome show for our viewers for tuning in. Thank you very much. See everyone on Monday. Have a awesome Thursday and weekend. Thank you.
This is Radio Easterville. We are located at Sandbury Square Mall on the corner of Old Forer Road and Baden-Powell Drive, Easterville. You can visit our website at www.radioeasterville.co.za. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Radio Easterville. And stay in touch with us via WhatsApp on 064 536 9095. That's 064 536 9095.
Wednesday dit vlerke gehad. Wednesday het kon vlieg, zodat ik jou kan wijs hoe om jou fouten te maak, zodat jij kan leer, zodat jij kan leer. Tijd is kostbaar voor jou. En ik kan het niet beschrijven, nee. Groei mijn liefde voor jou. Hey, kan het niet beschrijven, nee. Zoals nooit van tevoren. Groei mijn liefde aan jou. En ik wil jou net beschermen. Deur waterstromen zal ik zwem tot bij jou. Al trap ik elke spoor voor jou, al moet ik loop zodat jij kan volg. Jij verdient die liefde van jij geeft. Al verloor ik al mijn kracht bij jou, zet ik jou voor. Al verschijn jij in mijn dromen, jij sien ik mijn glimlach bij jou. En ik wil jou net beschermen. Deur waterstromen zal ik zwem tot bij jou.